Okay, Allee, welcome to the podcast.
Oh my gosh.
Business coach, serial entrepreneur, probably the best hair in Wilmington. Maybe also the most interesting way to meet a husband. Allee Cyrus, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here, and that was a very kind intro.
Oh my gosh, we need to cover all of the things in this bio of yours. We are currently in Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm on vacation with my mom. You live here.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you lived here? And we'll talk a little bit about the impetus behind the move.
Yeah. So moved here in the beginning, January 2022. So over 2 years now.
Oh, that's actually more recently than I was thinking it was. Okay.
Yeah. I think I've integrated really quickly. So I will say that. But
Adaptable.
I love it here.
I feel like you're a very adaptable human.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked on that. I didn't used to be that way, but I think moving and doing different things made me adaptable.
Okay.
And it's been a very sweet 2.5 years here.
Yeah. You're somebody that I find that has strong boundaries and preferences in a way that you are very aligned with yourself, but you can also adapt to any situation. Like if I was going to a concert or a nice sit-down dinner, I'm bringing you as my friend because I trust you in these situations.
Oh my gosh, that means so much to me.
Oh,
and
good.
thank you. Bring me along. But yes, and I think I found that I'm more flexible because of my boundaries.
Okay.
I rest harder and I know what I need, so I can be flexible.
That's
They
good.
need each other.
Yes. My counselor once said, because we were talking about boundaries and how you feel like, or how you know when you feel like a boundary has been crossed. And she said, when you start to feel resentful
Yep.
is when you know a boundary's been crossed.
For sure.
So if you are free from resent because you are strong with your boundaries, you can be more generous and flexible and adaptable in other areas of your life.
Yep, exactly.
So you moved from North Carolina from where?
So I moved here from Los Angeles in
A Cali girl.
I know. And it's such a different world, but it's also like so sweet. Lived my dream life there. It's actually really funny. I was on the phone with one of my just best friends from Allee yesterday, and she was in my old neighborhood, and I was like, oh, I miss it. But Allee got me where my career is. It gave me so much. And then coming here has just been so sweet.
So what were you doing in LA? And what are you doing here? And are they the same?
Yeah. So just brought my business with me here. So my company, like the overarching company is called Malibu Media. So we have a few different offshoots, but it is a media company, and we focus on ads. We focus on scaling companies, investing in like small forms of tech and scaling them. So it's been really fun. I work from like different influencers and celebrities all the way to, like insane moguls. So it's fun to kind of, get a little sprinkle here and there. And then I have, birth different businesses along the way, but it's been fun.
Okay, now your first business, cake decorating?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Okay, can we talk about that?
I never talk about this, you guys.
I
And
wanna
then
talk
like
about it.
once a year, I'll say something and everyone is like, you did what?
Oh,
Right.
And your eyes are even watering as I bring it
I know, I
up.
miss it. I gotta tell you guys, I think I have been humbled. Two things. We'll talk about the cake and, the cake business, all of that. But when I started that company, I was like, I want to change the world, and I can't change the world through cakes. And it was really hard for me because I loved it and it taught me so much about myself. But I also knew that like I was supposed to do really big things. And so that was my first business and I loved it. But then I went on to do other things because I was like, I'm a girl boss. I have to do something bigger than this. Like I can't be in small town Kentucky doing this. I need to go to LA and da-da-da. And I will tell you, now I live in Wilmington with my amazing husband and 5 thriving businesses. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I think at the end of this, I just want to have a bakery and a flower shop. And it's just cool.
It
It's like
all
such
just
a
comes back
full circle.
around.
Exactly. And like, I actually didn't need to do anything that I've done to change the world. Like you actually just change the world being you, and you get to really, that sounds so corny, but it's actually the truth.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter the vehicle. And so anyway, I started that when I was 21 and I did wedding cakes, cupcakes.
Oh, you were so young.
Yes, I was a baby. And one of the biggest cakes I ever did, I actually was in the wedding. So I was like a bridesmaid carrying in 4 huge pieces of cake, like
Allie's
building
doing
it
the most.
in the tent, always doing the most. And it was so fun. And so that was just a great time. Cakes are also very stressful. I think that taught me a lot about boundaries and taking what I need, because you create this beautiful thing that melts and gets eaten and gets photographed
Very temporary.
and needs to be transported. And so, wow, so many lessons that I've harvested.
Because you make it, but then it's out of your control what happens
You
if
have to
somebody
take it there.
drops it or
Well, true. Oh my
yeah.
gosh. Oh my gosh. One of the worst things that ever, it wasn't actually that bad, but when I was a bridesmaid, so during that same wedding I was just telling you about, when I was a bridesmaid, I drove a Mini Cooper. That was my first car. I like RIP to my Mini Cooper.
Very Italian job of you.
Absolutely. Agreed. Except for I drive like a grandma, right? So Italian job meets like Miss Maisel or like something. Anyway, but
She's like knitting her sweaters in the back of this Mini
I know,
Cooper.
I'm like, oh, hi, pee pee. But anyway, I was pulling things in, and like I used to be a huge procrastinator. I have since worked through that. Thank you, therapy and Jesus Christ. But with that, I was bringing all the pieces to put in the back of my Mini Cooper, and one of the bridesmaids was actually driving to the venue with me. And so every layer was different, which you've probably seen with a wedding cake. Like one, had rosettes, and one was gold foil, and one was just, like smoothed over, one was naked, all of that. So she picks up like the second to the top one, and she's putting it on the car, and you guys, she accidentally dropped it and like swiped off the whole side. And it was so funny. I had grown so much. I was 22 at this point, and I was like, that's icing. We can fix that, baby. And I brought it upstairs. I just like redid it in like 3 minutes. We were on time. There was no drama. And I was like, I can do anything.
Confidence comes from competence, and competence comes from action. And sometimes that action looks like making a mistake.
For sure.
But you know how to fix it now.
Exactly. And you can fix anything.
Yes.
That's something I've learned too.
You can fix anything.
Yes.
Something that you said earlier about coming full circle, because I actually don't know if you and I have talked about it yet, but the first sentence of my show description is sometimes finding yourself in adulthood looks a lot like getting back to who you were in your childhood. And so I love that you kind of like did that full circle. You started the bakery or the cake business. You've gone out and done all this amazing tech stuff in California, but we're coming back full circle at some point in time to the cake stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe you'll have your Mini Cooper again.
Hopefully.
Transporting maybe in like a bigger van at that point in time. Yep. But so the cake got okay to the wedding.
Was perfect.
Okay.
It was in Kentucky Bride.
Oh.
That was a big deal for me back then. But
we have a magazine celebrity on the podcast today. I didn't realize I was in the presence of such greatness.
Honestly, same. No, it was funny. It was sweet. Yeah. But
so when you first got started with cakes, because I think the question I get a lot is how did I even get started in my business? And I did try a lot of different smaller things before I was able to kind of build up the media agency that I have today. But you always loved cake baking, it sounds like. And then your friends would ask you to do it. And then you just set a price point and then it turned into a business? Yeah. Is that kind of how that went?
Essentially, when I was younger, I grew up in California, and my mom was a teacher and she's still a teacher, but she was so good at figuring out what we liked by putting us in everything. I'm so grateful for that. So I was in Montessori, but then all throughout summer, I was going to different camps and trying different things. And so my favorite thing to do was cooking class. So she would put me in baking classes, cooking classes, all the different things. And so I think from a young age, I had loved it. And then my mom's an incredible baker. So that was natural in my house. And then in college, it was funny. I actually got this internship. So it's a long story, but I was going to go to law school. And
I do vaguely remember this like snippet of your story.
Exactly. So my senior year, I'm dating a guy who's going to medical school. I'm going to law school. My whole life is figured out. And then I actually got saved and I became a Christian and started to pray through things and think through things. And I was like, I don't like my life. Like I'm not being me. And I had so much resentment because I had no boundaries and I had no sense of self because I had always just been perfect and checked all the boxes. And so I started to really self-reflect at 21 and change. And so I ended up deferring from law school. I actually was going to Austin. I was going to UT Austin. Yeah.
Great school.
It's a great school.
Okay.
RIP.
Yeah.
To my yeah, exactly. So was going to that, and then I took a 5th year, and it was during that time that I had an internship that turned into a job at Coca-Cola Global, which was a total God thing. And then from there, I was able to figure out, wow, I need to make money on the side. Like I have these internships, I have extra classes because I added on a second degree that I could finish in a year, and then, soul search and figure out what I wanted to do. And I then had all my friends working at this really famous bakery in Lexington, Kentucky. It was called McGee's. And so my friends were all like cashiers there, and it was like the cool place to work. So I went in to see if I could be a cashier, and the owner, Beverly, shout out Beverly.
Hey, Bev, what's
I
going
know, we
on?
love her. She will probably listen to this because she is the best supporter ever still. But anyway, I did an interview and she's like, I don't need any more cashiers. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I like you though. Like there's something about you. Have you ever iced a cake? Have you ever done cakes before?
I used to do cupcakes. I've tried the cake thing during COVID. It
Yeah.
didn't go quite as thought it would go in my mind, but I've done cupcakes.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so that was exactly where I had been. And so she's like, yeah, I'm not really hiring anything. And I was desperate. And I'm like, is there anything that you can do? Like, I need to make rent. And she was like, well, I have a baking position. Do you want to do wedding cakes and cakes? And I'm like, same.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how to do that, but yeah, let's do it. And so Beverly did not know how unexperienced I was, but she bet on me and she taught me everything. And so I actually worked there, learned everything like a high level, and then my friends started to ask me because that was the time when everyone got engaged. So everyone was like, I really want you to do my wedding cake. And I'm like, you probably don't. Actually, like being realistic sounds like a really bad idea. I don't know how to do that. and then I ended up doing it. And that's really how it snowballed.
Wow. And I think that's a lot about showing up for opportunities maybe before you're ready and not letting imposter syndrome get in the way, but trusting yourself to figure it out.
For sure.
There was the gap between actually being ready before you had your business, but like, sounds like Bev trained you up,
Yep.
but you didn't say no to the opportunity for Bev to train you up.
Yep.
And that's when opportunities can kind of come outside of that.
Yeah.
So that's why I always tell young girls too, when they ask me like, how do I start a business? It's like, okay, well, what are you passionate about and what opportunities are around you?
Mm-hmm.
When I started my business in Nashville, the opportunities were quite boundless just because of the people that I was in contact with.
For sure.
So I don't think I would be able to have built my business in any other city as quickly just because of the connections and the contacts that I was making. So I always say, like, if your dream does involve other people, get into the city where people are doing that and that you want to work around. But for you, Bev was your person. That was your first stepping stone.
For sure.
So,
and proximity is so important.
Yeah.
It really is for what you're saying there. And imposter syndrome is something that so many women struggle with. I have been protected by that. I do not have it. It does not come up for me.
In Jesus' name, we seal that.
Amen.
To remain.
Amen. And also, like, share it with you guys. Like, it's just a choice. And it's scary. Don't get me wrong. I'm like, oh, I don't want to mess anyone's ex up. Like, wedding, this, that, the other. But when the opportunity does present itself, if you have the right mindset, you can be the person who fulfills it. And then you will get better every single time. And perfection's never the goal. Do your very best, and it will probably be better than you expected.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good word. Okay. So we went from baking, and this was right after school, turned down law school. Obviously, things did not work out with that boy.
No.
So after that, what did you start your business in your early 20s after that? Your advertising and marketing?
Yeah, well, I started in tech. So I got into this entrepreneurship program under one of the most prolific VCs in Silicon Valley.
Oh.
Yeah, we've never talked about this.
No.
And I ended up crowdfunding my way there, and which was wild. So literally the state of Kentucky sent me to San Francisco. It was very sweet. I know. I love Kentuckian forever. And then I went to this program and started my own business with a co-founder named Lexi, who I love still to this day. And it was actually a influencer communication and activation platform. So we were the middlemen between brands and influencers before influencers were paid anything. So these were the days when 2006, 16, 17, when like Kim Kardashian was making money and people were like, she's making money?
Yeah.
She's making money for talking about that, right? So
This was the Wild West time.
It was.
It still is a little bit, but that was like cutting edge.
It was, exactly. So we did that. And then one of our instructors at the program, we finished. It was amazing. Such a positive experience. Moved to Phoenix because we had like office space and everything we could build out with there. And then one of our instructors had already exited a few very successful companies. He actually approached us to acquire our company and come on to his new venture. So we made the hard decision and did that. And that was a really cool experience, but this was a time when I totally like rejected myself in order to people please and make sure everyone felt good because it was scary.
Yeah.
And so we, came on to this new team, and I just knew like I don't care to build this company. You obviously need to respect the contract and what I had signed up for, and so I did that. But after, I want to say 6 months, that's when I was able to leave. So I left, and then it was bad. Lexi was let go. I think we were a good package deal,
Yeah.
and so it was like I knew it was time, and then and it was her time too, and so that company went on to be successful. I'm actually super proud of them. But that was when I started my media agency, and I left to do that. I was like,
Yeah.
I love this. I love tech. I love being able to do this. It was working with autonomous vehicles and advertisements within them. There are some really cool tech things that they created within that company that still are being used to this day. But I didn't care. I could care about a wedding cake. I could care about, brand partnerships with influencers. I could care about these specific things, but I realized at that point of my life when I was 23, I do not care about this, so I'm not going to build something I don't care about.
Right.
So that was really like big for me. And then that's when I started my agency when I was 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not realize you were only 23 when you started. Gosh, that's so inspiring.
I'm trying to think, it's 7 years old now, which is crazy.
Wow. Okay, you're also a little bit of a baby
I
still.
am. I know, but
Did you just hit 30?
I just hit 30.
Oh,
I just had my birthday a
happy
couple of months ago.
birthday.
Thanks.
Welcome. 30s are way better than your 20s, I have to tell you.
Okay, I am prettier. I am happier.
She looks amazing today.
Guys.
But I do
Thank
think
you.
women get prettier in their 30s.
I literally made a reel about this, and
Oh my
everyone
gosh,
was commenting.
You did.
Because I was like, guys, when you wake up and you're 30 and you're like so much prettier than you were in your 20s, and you're like, wait, what? This is so fun. But people don't talk about how amazing it is. So anyway,
what do you think it is?
I think confidence, security in yourself, you figured things out. Our hormones are hopefully balanced, if not balance them. So I think that's what it is. We also haven't stepped into motherhood, so I feel like I have like all the minerals and everything in my body still.
Yeah.
Before I start to
hold on to that as long as we can.
Exactly. I know. We're not ready yet.
My mom's over there in the corner being like, yeah, she knows.
It's like, wait, what?
So she doesn't have those minerals after 2 babies.
Totally.
No, but I do love my 30s way more than my 20s. I think that there is something about you are better with boundaries and you just don't care as much about the wrong things.
It's so true.
And you start to kind of like put the pedal to the metal on the things that you do care about. And then for me at least, my circle did change a little bit, but for the better. They were more in alignment with where I was going as well. So I think there's a lot of change that happens, and it's just kind of like the dust gets sifted at the bottom, and you just feel a little bit more like just settled into yourself.
So true. And it's not personal. I feel like when your frontal lobe is fully cooked and you've got a few years under your belt with that too, like your circle changes, but there's not drama about it. You change, but you don't have to fight for it. You have your opinions, and if someone disagrees, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great to not live with offense.
Amen.
To be unoffendable is just, it's one of those things, but you're right. When you do take things a little bit more personally in your 20s, you're a little bit more insecure, so you take things a little bit more sensitively. In your 30s, you're just kind of doing it.
It's so true. You have nothing to prove.
Yeah.
I feel like I have proven myself to myself.
That's good. There's a couple things that you were talking about, and I forgot that you grew up in Kentucky and were crowdfunded to California, because one of the things that I like to say about you as well is you're so good at building community around you. You put on events, and you just gather these really cool, almost like microcosms of people across the entire United States. But it does kind of make sense with you coming from Kentucky and building that community around you, even as a young girl. It's almost like you're like sprinkling this little community around you as well. So I would love to talk a little bit about what friendships in adulthood have looked like for you. And I think you actually posted it on Instagram last week, a couple weeks ago, about how to heal some of like the girl friendship hurt that you've had over the years to now be able to give full on into your girlfriend friendships now.
Yeah.
So tell me how you do that as an adult now that you are 30, and how do you cultivate like really deep friendships with other girls around you?
Yeah, totally. I think so. I thought I was different for this. But I have since learned that I was wrong. I was really badly bullied in high school,
Mm.
which caused me to stop being myself because I thought when I was myself, that is what caused me to be unlikable. And
Mm.
so I spent a chunk of my 20s confused because I was being something that I was not in order to protect myself. And so I think by the grace of God, I've formed amazing friendships within that time too, because I've always been genuine, but I did not know what actually, like, who I was. I couldn't be authentic because I didn't even understand who I was because I was afraid to be that. Does that make sense? And so when I started to really talk about that, my first speaking engagement, I was 2020. And it was about overcoming eating disorders, which that had actually been a product of being bullied. It was like, if I'm pretty enough and I'm skinny enough and people like me enough and I'm quiet enough about things, then I can't be bullied and rejected, and
Then I'm
people
safe.
can't be right about me that I suck and I'm safe, right? So anyway, I had to really start to unlearn that slowly, and I want to say it's taken like years and years because there's so many layers to healing. But it was around when I was 20, I want to say 24, 25, that I realized, like, wow, I'm not me all the way. Like, who is that? And so once I really started to explore that and figure it out, my friends just embraced that. And I think they always knew who I was before I did. And I would say all of my businesses have been started by other people seeing things in me that I didn't. You know, my relationships, usually people find me. You know, you're saying I collect people. No, usually I feel like I'm like, hi, but people will come to me and I'm like, what are you doing? You know? And so, and then I want to keep them. I love my people. And so I think really healing what I was believing about myself was really key. And then understanding, you know, wow, I was wrong within that. But then also that gave me grace for others in their own
Yeah.
challenges. And I just realized, like, you can't make an old friend. You can't buy or construct context. You know, to be seen and to be known, it's earned and it's rare and it's an honor. And I think when I learned all of that through, again, my 20s, something really changed. And like I said, I started to get to collect people. And it's not like I am the best at communicating, but I'm really good at expectation setting, being authentic, and when you have me, you have my full attention, and they just know that I love them, you know. And so it's easy to like gather from that place because we're all on the same page. And if someone needs me, they know they can call me. I feel like don't text me for like chit chat about like it to know it, but like, girl, if you're in the hospital, like, you're in Nashville in the hospital, I'll be there in 5 minutes, you know? And
Yeah, Allie's going
so
to be on my emergency contact list after this.
yes, please. I would be honored. And so I think, you know, I know my relationships. I know who I love. I know my priorities. I know how to love people well that feels right for me. And I know that I won't be for everyone, because within that, I've had plenty of people who've stopped being my friend too. But I know that that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm a bad person. You know, we just have seasons for things. So I think like being able to hold it with an esteem that it deserves, but also being able to hold it loosely. Relationships thrive within that. And I feel like friendships really prep me for marriage too. So that's what I would say.
Speaking about marriage,
Yeah.
you have probably the most interesting story of how to meet a man. Can you walk us through how you and Justin met?
Mm-hmm.
And you guys have been married for a year and a
2
half?
years.
Okay, 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So still kind of
It's
newlyweds.
totally.
Okay. And then he grew up in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
where you are now.
Yep.
But you guys met in what way?
So, guys, we met on an Instagram dating show called Love is Quarantine. You can still go watch us
Oh,
meet.
I didn't know that. I'm
Yeah.
binging this
No,
afterwards.
it's actually super embarrassing. And so
We're gonna have like one of those podcast collaboration shows,
for
like
sure, that's
along that. Yeah,
yes.
the series next.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. But it was the pandemic, so I knew I wasn't gonna meet my husband. Like, I'm locked in an apartment.
We're not meeting anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, we're meeting our kitchen for months at a time. And so it's kind of a long story on how I got on, but someone that worked with my husband had been on one of the previous episodes. It was set up like Love is Blind, but it was all digital, and then it was live streaming, right? And they did a few of the episodes. It went super viral. It was like in New York Times every single Friday. They did a BBC edition. It was covered like internationally because there was nothing going on. No one was meeting. There was nothing coming out on Netflix.
And so give them the context of how Love is Blind is set up.
Yeah, so in Love is Blind, I've actually never watched Love is Blind also, so I had no idea what I was doing. But
I think I saw like 2 episodes.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they have singles who will come in and they're in pods and they can't see each other and they just talk and they get to spend time with each other and then they eliminate and they pick whoever they want to be with. And then at the end in Love is Blind, you actually get to meet each other and like date in person for I think 2 months. And then you get to say, I do, if you want to get married. So anyway, pretty intense.
So you don't get to see them. You're dating somebody and you're dating other people, but you're not seeing them physically.
Exactly. So I was dating different men live. I can't see them. Other people can see all of our faces. They can see everything that we're saying about each other. They can, yeah.
And are these Zoom sessions?
Yes.
Okay.
And so
these are live stream Zoom session dates that you cannot see what's happening on the other side of the screen.
And like phone calls. So it could be like FaceTime audio too, not obviously FaceTime. And so anyway, so we did that, and just go through the eliminations and then you end up picking your person. And so I didn't think anything about it. I actually had like probably one of the worst days of my life that day. So I looked like a bridge troll, like getting on here. I literally did my makeup like 2 minutes before. I was walking out of my house with my roommate to go get ice cream crying, and I got the notification, like the calendar notification that's like do in 10 minutes Love is Quarantine, and I was like, oh gosh, no.
They don't give you a heads up for when it's happening?
No, they do, but I forgot. Oh no I should have known. I forgot.
And I thought maybe it was like you got to be like on board all the time with the Be Real app or something.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. But what actually happened too for me to get on it, Justin's coworker had been on another episode and had actually paired with someone and they were dating. And this is the time when Zoom had everyone was getting on Zooms and doing like happy hours to like have a semblance of normal life with coworkers, etc. It was, and he was on that, and his COO or CEO had been really dogging on him to get in front of people and to do more speaking engagements in his position. And anyway, the guy, LV, who had been on a previous episode, was like, I did this thing, and everyone was like, what? Like everyone's stalking and talking about it. And LV was like, hey, Justin, you're single. You should do it too. And Justin was 100% embarrassed, like getting called out in front of his entire company. And then he was like, you know what, I will do it. So he messaged them, and he was kind of doing it to like, as like a look, boss, I'm getting media coverage like you want, right? So he's not really going on for the right reasons. And then I ended up getting recruited the day before because my friend, who had like always been nominating me for dating shows, she sent me this thing, Love is Quarantine, because they were looking for entrepreneurs, because ours was all entrepreneurs. And she sent it to me in the story. And you guys, I was so peeved because I'd set this boundary and I just was like, I don't want to do this. And so I messaged her back and I was like, I don't know what this is. Please stop sending these to me. Okay. I had clicked into the story from Love is Quarantine and I accidentally sent it to Love is Quarantine, not to my friend. So Love is Quarantine gets this, and I'm a creator. And so they see this random girl who's like,
stop bothering me.
Stop bothering me. I'm not doing this.
No history list of messages.
Exactly. And God bless Rance, who was like the owner, starter, founder, producer. He literally was like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, I still have these.
Why are you obsessed with
me?
I
know. He's like, I don't know what you're saying, but you should definitely come on the episode tomorrow. Right. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I literally unsent it.
I did not know this.
Yes.
Allie.
Oh my gosh. Super embarrassed. And that's the reason I went on, because I was so rude. And I felt so bad. And it was funny too, because he was like, oh, it's during this time. And I was like, oh, I'm PST. I can't make it at that time because it was EST. And he was like, no, seriously, like reschedule, come on. He's a good salesman. And I was like, no, I'm busy. And I sent a screenshot of my Google Calendar because it was a busy day, which is also such a, like, why did I do that? Anyway, I sent him.
She's got the receipts.
Proof I'm busy. Leave me alone. Okay. And he messages me back and said, hey, I just let everyone know we pushed the show back 3 hours, so we'll be your 5 o'clock. See you tomorrow. And I was like, I don't know what to do.
So now they were obsessed with you when you said, don't stop messaging me. Then they did message you, and then they did become obsessed. We
They
love
did.
this story.
They
Okay.
always find me.
You set yourself up on accident. Okay.
And then I got to do
love
this
this.
weird dating format, and I don't think anything of it, right? Like, I don't know these people. You can't see them. I don't know. Like,
That does make it weird that you can't see the other person, but to me, it would be hard to realize that other people are watching this.
Yes.
If I can't see the other person, then I'm not even thinking about all of the thousands of people that are tuning in.
for sure. And for me, I, like talk to random people on the internet for my job.
That's how we became friends.
That's all of us. It's most of our jobs at this point. And so when it comes down to it, I was like, that's fine. And I didn't share it on my social media. Like, I don't want anyone in my life to know. But I can check my phone, even though I'm like blocked from everything, so I can't see anything. And I'm getting texts from girls who went to college with me or went to programs with me who were like, shut the freak up.
The word's getting out.
So people are watching. So that's when I got nervous.
Yeah.
That was when it hit. I'm like, oh, people I
that
know
yeah.
are watching this, and that scared me. So it's okay though. I saw it at the end. But yeah, talked to 3 guys. One was actually like a semi-famous rapper who lives in Allee. He lived like 3 miles from me. Reasons. And so he was it was him. Then Justin was number 2, and then a guy, I think his name was Matt. He was lovely. He was like a lumberjack who worked on movie sets.
Oh.
Really cool. So
A lumberjack that worked on movie sets.
So he gave lumberjack, but he actually was a artist who worked on movie sets. He literally made Bridgerton's. Now I know this because I've, I can see what his life is. But he made Bridgerton's first and second season sets, which are phenomenal.
Okay. This is a good stack
It's
of
a
men,
good,
though.
yeah. And
for
then
Love is
Justin, my
Quarantine.
like very normal husband.
Okay, so when you first started talking to Justin,
Yeah.
did you feel something different?
No, I thought he was kind of a goofy goober.
Yeah.
And he was like making all these jokes, and I was like, he was funny. That's the thing. I was actually genuinely laughing
Love
so
a funny
hard.
man.
Yes. So he was making me laugh, but there was like no substance. So I was not interested. And I was coming off of some incredible conversations with Chris, the first guy, the rapper. And I was like, whatever. And anyway, halfway through, I was like, I can't handle these jokes anymore. And
Justin's joke.
I was like, we get it, you're funny. And it was entertaining, but I was like, I have to keep doing this for an hour. Like, we got to talk about something. And so I'm literally laying on the floor in my room, and I'm a big reader, so I have like this huge bookshelf. And I was like, so do you read any books? And that like completely changed our conversation, that one question. And all of a sudden I realized that he is so deep, and we love a lot of the same books. We have a lot of similar morals and, dreams. And it really opened up the conversation. And so it saved the conversation. And at the end, it was fun. It felt like I was talking to like an old friend. And it was funny because he was like very clearly into me, and I was like, not sure. And so it's because, and he's like, I'm really excited to talk to you again, and like and like we should do this. And I'm like, all right, bye, because I was like, I don't know. And it's funny because we had to send like reaction videos after every call.
Oh, to upload for the Instagrams. Okay.
Yeah. And so it's a running joke. They literally played it at our wedding because my recap video was 11 seconds. And I'm like, Justin, really funny, nice guy. We read some of the same books, really excited for the next call. Woohoo! And like, that's the end. And then it's funny because the producer, you can hear him at the end. He goes, that's it? That's all? Well, Justin has more to say. So, and then it cuts into his, and Justin literally is like gushing. He's like, she's like Cleopatra. He said, we always make fun of him. She's like Cleopatra reincarnated. This woman will take over the world. Like, what is it? And I'm like, what does that even mean? He's like, I don't know. I just made it up, Like, I don't know what that means.
This bright, light, blonde
But
gal
he can't
just
see me.
bopping around.
For
But
sure.
Cleopatra is the image that's coming to his mind. Guys say the strangest things.
They
when they're
do.
on
And
camera.
I was like, red flag. Like, I'm I'm not into reincarnation.
Yeah.
You know,
It's very outside of him to say that.
100%. He's like, yeah, I don't know what that really means. It sounded cool, and I was like on a roll. But he's like gushing. It's like boo do 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 do. So anyway, at the end, the producers are like, so clearly Allie will not be picking Justin. On to the next. So we did all the rest of the dates.
Did you
And
choose Justin?
I
Or do you go through all 3 dates
you
with
go through all of them,
Okay.
and then you have to go through like conversations and
Do you eliminate?
Yep.
Oh.
And so
Do the women or the men or both?
both.
Okay.
Yep. So at the end, so you like eliminate actively, but not to the public. You eliminate to the
Okay.
producers. So it was really funny because this is, again, one of the worst days of my life. There were a lot of things that were happening earlier that day. And so I finished my date and I'm like, thank God that's over.
Yeah.
Okay. So I leave my phone in my room, close my laptop, all of that. I'm like, great, they'll figure it out. And then I start a bath. Big bath girl. Okay.
Love a good bath.
Agreed. Just
A little glass of
needed-
wine, some candles,
Amen.
a book.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I'm getting all of the works ready to just decompress. And then my phone is like going crazy. And I realized I had sent in, hey, I'm just going to pick Justin. And it was funny because I was like, I don't know, like there are really good options. And I was like, I don't really know why I want to pick Justin, but I do. Like, I guess I liked him the most.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard because I really liked Chris too. And I was going back and forth. And then Rance
But the
calls
lumberjack
me.
was out.
I know, but Matt was not it for me.
Okay.
But he was awesome.
Okay.
But
Great
I'm
friend.
not cool enough for him. Does that make sense? I
Okay.
was like, it's not gonna work.
The chill, cool,
Exactly.
interesting.
He would want like I don't know, like a Silver Lake. Do you know LA? Like a Silver Lake cool hipster girl.
Okay. Not Cleopatra.
Not me. Yeah,
Got
not
it.
reincarnated Cleopatra. Anyway.
Okay.
So anyway, he's off, and then I just say, hey, I'm picking Justin, do the video, and then I'm done. And Rance is calling me, and he's like, you need to pick Chris. And I'm like, what? What do you mean? And
Yeah.
he's like, no, you need to pick Chris. And I'm like, this is how the producers get them on Bachelor. This is how it happens. And I was like, why? And he's like, Chris picked you. Chris is obsessed with you. Chris will literally ask you to marry him tomorrow, not to freak you out.
Yeah.
But like, he is awesome. I know Chris, like, you want to pick Chris. And I was sitting there, and it was so funny because I'm literally in my underwear. And I literally got on my knees in my bathroom, and I was like, okay, God, who am I supposed to pick? And it still didn't make sense to me because it would be cool to be a rapper's wife in a cool house in the hills.
Sounds good to me.
I know. It wouldn't suck.
Yeah.
But I was just like, no, I'm supposed to pick Justin. So I was like, no, I just prayed about it. I'm going to pick Justin, final answer. And he was like, okay, I respect your decision. So I don't even go check who anyone else picks. I don't care. That's my decision. Bye. So I'm in the bath and my phone is like going crazy again. And Rance is like, hey, you and Justin picked each other. And so we need you to get on a live so we can do, a reveal of you guys seeing each other and blah, blah, blah.
These producers are on it.
They are.
This is good.
Okay.
Okay.
And I was like, no, because I was naked.
Oh, they
I'm
wanted you
in the
in
bath.
that moment.
Yes,
Oh.
they meant right now,
Oh.
right? And they were like, we need this, and then we can send that out, and for the press, and
The
this
answer
and
is
that.
no.
And I was like, yeah, no, I can't. And I didn't know that. They didn't tell me we were gonna do that, but it just so happened that like we were the only people who matched.
Oh.
So they needed that, and we were the last episode ever. So we were the 10th episode, the last couple, all of that. And I was like, no, I don't want to. Thank you so much, though. Thank you for this experience, Rance. God bless you. Turned my phone off. So then I just, again, had a hard day and I just needed space. So the next day I turned my phone on and I have a text from Justin. I have all these texts from girls that had watched from college who knew me. And they were like, Allie, this guy. And now I'm unblocked from everything. So I can go see what he looks like. I can see everything.
So what was the first time you saw Justin?
That morning.
On Instagram?
On Instagram.
Okay, it wasn't even like a live
no,
thing.
because
Okay.
I didn't go on it because I didn't care.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And so, I mean, I do care. I did
Yeah.
care, but I was like, I just need to take care of me right now.
Yeah.
Going back to boundaries.
Boundaries,
I was like, I will
bad
not show
day.
up as a good person.
Yes.
I've done what my contract says. Bye-bye.
And that is a
So-
lot of pressure to meet somebody for the first time on camera
Mhm.
live.
It's so true. And it was really late.
Yeah.
It was very late. Like their time, it was probably 4 a.m., I think. It was
PCT?
super late.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were on
So
that late?
anyway, I was like, I got to go to sleep. So I wake up and anyway, I turn on my phone and I had messages from girls that I went to college with. And like I said, I did programs like Model UN with, but people had watched it and they're like, Allie, one. And everyone's saying different things, but like, whatever, you were on Love is Quarantine. And other people are like, this guy is so cute. And Anna, who had put me in for Bachelor Nation and Bachelor Live on Stage and all of that, literally sent me this whole thing. And she's like, I'm sorry. That was very positive. This man is smitten. You have to call him. And I was like, oh, that's so interesting. And he had texted me, and then I went back with my roommate and I watched the videos. And I was like, oh, he's
He's
cute.
cute.
He's super cute.
Yes.
And then I was like, oh, whatever. And I didn't text him back. And then he texted me again that afternoon and was like, I really would love to set up another digital date. I know that we're not in the same place.
Because he's in North Carolina and you were in California at this point.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. And I was like, yeah, we can. And so on that date, I was like, how would this even work? Like literally, I live on one coast and you live on the other. Like we are one block from the ocean where we're sitting. He was here. I was one block from the ocean in Santa Monica. So anyway, that was that. And I mean, we have a long dating story, but that's how it happened. And then we got married.
Now they're married and
We're
they're living in
married.
Wilmington, North Carolina. I have not seen him. I've not laid eyes on him personally yet.
I
but
can't believe that.
we're gonna
I'm
have
gonna
to
bring
hang
him
soon.
I'll bring
Yes.
him.
Okay.
You have to
We
meet
have
him.
to meet Justin and not just on the Instagram live.
He's so much better in person.
When was the first time you guys actually met in person?
So we were dating, like talking specifically after the show for 6 weeks. This is in the heat of the pandemic still. And so no one is my parents were like, do not meet him in real life. You're going to get sick,
Yeah.
like something's
It
going to
was a
happen.
scary time.
It was. And I was spending a lot of time and I'm a big routine girl. So I was like, I don't know. Like I'm spending a lot of time talking to this man and I
Yeah.
don't even know if like he is who he says he is.
Sure.
And that's the investigator in me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I actually was talking to one of my best friends about it. And I think I was like trying to not get into a self-sabotage pattern of
Yeah.
just like, this is too good to be true. So I ended up deciding that I would fly to go see him in real life with like no strings attached, like me in total control, that kind of thing. So, I decided that was the way I could decide. Like I needed to meet him in real life because he was checking all the boxes and it was perfect on FaceTime.
Right.
But that's not enough, right? So anyway,
That's a big caveat
I'm
to
talking
that.
to my best friend. She's like, yeah, you gotta go. And my from my sorority lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I wanted to see her. She just bought an incredible house. And I was like, I'll fly to Charlotte. And then I'll just have him like meet me for coffee or something like
That
outside.
feels like a great way to go about it.
Agreed.
Yeah, that was smart.
And I don't want your money. I don't want your time. I don't want your expectations. I'm in town.
Yes.
You can come meet me if you want. And so I'm looking. They're so expensive. So I prayed that night with my best friend, Maddie Burke, on the phone. I was like, if I'm supposed to go, then I need something under 150. Again, self-sabotaging. That's not going to happen. But if not, then I'm not supposed to date him. And I'll just kind of I'll let it fizzle. So the next morning I wake up, I call Maddie. I'm looking. They're all the same price. And then all of a sudden I was like, I really think it was God. I just heard like, check Southwest. I'm not a Southwest girl for sure. So I check it and there is a flight for 121. So with taxes and everything, it is 149.11. Under 150.
He do it. Okay.
Yeah. So then I bought it. I texted him. I was like, hey, I'm going to be in the area if you want to come. And he was like, what are you going to be in the area for? Like, what are you doing in North Carolina? And I was like, I'm just coming in. Like, just, you want to, and he was like, no, literally, what are you doing here? And I was like, I bought a ticket to come suss you out. Do you want to come or not? And then he was like, oh, and he was like, leverage.
I want to know. I got a little bit of that.
Exactly. He needed to know. And then that's when we met and it worked out amazingly.
Was it awkward? Was it weird? Were you
It
at a
was
coffee shop?
so normal. I was
Okay.
really nervous going down the escalator, when you're like
This
coming
is
into
so dramatic.
baggage
So he
claim.
picks you up at the airport.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he was like, you're not staying with Sophie. We'll go see Sophie or little, but you're staying. He had like 2 places. And so he's like, I will like put you up. You stay here. I will
Like a
let
gentleman.
me just date you like a normal person. And so I came for the weekend and we went and saw Sophie, but I'm like going down the escalator and I'm terrified.
And do you see him?
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I actually didn't see him.
oh,
I'm like, well, I'm afraid to look. I
yeah.
was kind of like chicken, you know? I'm like,
I do think that airport pickups are really
I know.
like they cause a lot of stress for me. My mom knows this too. Like I always would hate when like a boyfriend would pick me up from an airport because it was just like it felt like a lot of pressure.
It
And
does.
because you're getting off an airplane and you're not looking your cutest, you're
No.
kind of gross from the airplane air. To me, it's a lot of pressure. So I
It
can
is.
understand that.
Thank you. And I literally needed a mental health break. I like stopped at outside
Yes.
the gate and I'm like
Yes.
charging my phone and I'm like, am I okay?
Breathe.
Am I ready for this?
Does he see you coming down the
So
escalator?
he saw me and I'm like I literally was afraid to look up. I'm just like, tending to my purse and my things and I'm like walking over to get my bag and then he walked up and like scooped me into a hug and it was just normal.
Did he kiss you?
No.
Okay.
No.
That would be too much.
I told him not to kiss me during this whole
trip.
yep.
Okay.
And so wait, I forgot about this. I haven't thought about this in a while. So I
Ooh.
said, do not kiss me. Hard boundary, do not kiss me because I don't know, that just will make me like you more and I have to decide if I like you. I'm still
Very fair.
deciding
Yes.
if I like you. And I didn't kiss people a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway,
Me
but
too.
I was like, do not kiss me. So I was not anxious about that at all. He hugs me. We walk to the car. We hit the humidity like a brick wall. Also, when the doors open, when you live in Los Angeles, you forget.
The humidity here is tough.
It's intense.
Girl, your hair looks good. My hair is back due to the humidity.
I'll give you their products
Okay.
that fix everything.
Because I'm gonna need some help.
Yep, I got
Okay.
you. I know. I think the humidity actually makes me prettier now.
Her 30s and humidity.
I know.
Girl,
The
you're like
secret.
fun one. Okay.
We all are. We all are.
Okay, so you don't kiss him or you ask him not to kiss
Yeah, I
you.
asked him not to kiss me. He puts me in his car and then he drives me home. Also, did not realize. I thought Raleigh and Charlotte were like neighboring cities. They're 3 hours.
Driving, but still far. Like
Yeah.
this is not just like a skip and jump.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we drive back 3 hours. We get back late. And then he's showing me around Raleigh, his town. He's like born and raised, loves Raleigh. And anyway, he pulls up to the cathedral that he like loves and is he like grew up going to and all of that, and he's showing me everything and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so cool, please stop, like I want to look at it, it's so beautiful. I'm a big church, I love churches and like architecture, and so he stops and I like turn around and he like lays one on me and I was like, you crossed my boundary, but it was such a good kiss.
Okay, but at what point in time was this during the trip?
That was literally before we got out of the car.
From the airport?
Mm-hmm.
This is amazing. I was thinking maybe it was like him dropping you back off at the airport. Oh no, he didn't even make it to his house.
No.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love this though.
I know.
Okay.
I know. And I was like, you didn't listen to my boundary. He was like, this was really important for us, I think.
And were you like, okay?
I was like, okay.
Also outside of a cathedral after he's picked you up at the airport, like this is all very romantic.
It was cute.
Okay, so lessons learned: never eliminate any strange opportunities to meet men in a very
Do it.
safe manner.
Yep. Make good
for
choices.
it.
Yep. Everyone
Yes.
had my location. Like
Yes,
I
locations
knew.
are important.
Yep.
Yep.
We did a full background check that you could pay for online
Also
before I
smart.
got on the plane. I mean,
Yes.
I had crossed my T's and dotted my I's as best as I could.
Yes.
Uh,
But you still showed up a little, I mean, maybe it was halfway showing up for the Love is Blind quarantine
Yeah.
edition, but you still did it and you said yes to the opportunity and been married 2 years now.
Yeah.
Wow. Living in North Carolina. But was there a moment when you knew that he was the one after all of this?
What a good question. I think specifically I was like the queen of like dating people and dumping them or us mutually just it not working. Like I was so picky and I think I realized he was the one when I like just couldn't imagine not being with him, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And there was never like a magical moment. I think that's one beautiful thing about our relationship. Like it's super steady and he's like the little train that could like he just chugs along every single day and that's like our love. And so I think for me I was like, I don't know, like I'm the pro con list, like checking everything. I did a background check on the man before I got on a plane, like you know what I mean, like can you imagine dating me? It was a lot but
And a lot of fun.
yeah, it was. But I think when I realized like, oh, my life is significantly better and I'm more myself when I am in this relationship with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a sweet, sweet thing. Okay, I just love y'all's story because it's so unique and it's different and it's fun and it's just interesting. And again, it just shows that you can meet anybody at any point in time,
Yeah.
even in the middle of quarantine. and even in the middle of an Instagram dating show.
It's so true.
Something that you've brought up a couple of times, and this is really important to me as well, is when you were working at that job in LA, and then you just said this about Justin though too, but one of the reasons it felt like you parted ways with that startup in LA was because you said you knew it wasn't you, that you were kind of like losing parts of yourself and you didn't want to continue down that path. And then in contrast, what you just said with Justin is you feel more like yourself when you're with him. And so I just love to just bring everything sort of full circle. How have you sort of picked up your pieces of yourself that are the most important or the most Christ-like along the way after maybe being bullied in high school or getting into a job that wasn't in alignment, or it sounds like maybe previous relationships were not right for you? What does it look like now for you to pick up the pieces of yourself that you just know and love and want to hold on to?
I love this question. I think one, through therapy and journaling and a lot of prayer, I realized that to stay safe, I would reject myself to receive love. And when I realized that, it literally broke my heart for myself for the first time. Like, I realized, wow, there's no way I could ever step into the identity that I believe Christ has died for. And, the woman that God created me to be when I'm entertaining that. And so I had to really start checking every action against God's word and what he says about me and about life, because I'm not always right. It's not like my identity is perfect, right? But like checking his word, and then on the other side, making sure I wasn't doing something to just try and be safe. That really changed everything for me. And I think, risks are so worth it. So understanding what that looks like in life, in relationships, in your career, but also understanding that like we do create our own semblance of safety here in the world too. Like our safest place is heaven and with the Lord, but there are also lessons and choices we get every day to create the life that we call home. And so being able to kind of understand the pieces and parts that I had agency over, and then being wise with them and being prayerful about them, that really has like changed everything. And just because something's not for me doesn't mean it's wrong. I think a lot of times people just want everything to be black or white, but we live in a gray world. And so being able to have really open conversations with myself and with others, in business, marriage, friendships, all of that, like that's just changed my life. And I think that's what created the safety I always craved.
Yes. And then maybe the next step is going back into baking at some point in time.
I know. Everyone stay tuned. I really think it will happen in the next few years here. And Wilmington, where I live, is like the most perfect coastal town. This is where The Summer I Turned Pretty was filmed and all the Nicholas Sparks movies. And it's a dream. And so it just makes sense to have a flower shop and a bakery here.
Okay, we'll leave on this. What's your number one tip to make a cake look beautiful when you're decorating it?
I think simplicity is so important.
Okay.
There's so many cake trends, but simplicity is the hardest thing to create when it comes to icing it well. So stick with the basics. And then I think I think taste is really important. And so, like, yes, put work into the taste, but it's like the pictures you get at the end, that's what people always talk about. So, like, give yourself extra time to ice, give yourself extra time to work on your buttercream recipe. And then again, the simplicity is easier when your tools and the materials you're working with actually are good. So work on that part first. But yeah, okay, that's what I would say.
Well, Allie, I might have to have you back on. You might be my first and my second, my first guest in general, but my first repeat guest, because I want to hear about, I didn't realize that you came to know the Lord as an adult. And then would love to know a little bit too, just about like the cool business that you've built. So everybody stay tuned, because we'll probably have Allie back on if she'll give us another hour of her time. Thank you so much for coming on. How can everybody find you?
Yes, I'm at rightupyouralley.com, ALLE, Instagram, TikTok, etc. I have a podcast myself that hopefully I'm going to have some help with here soon.
Yes, gal, let's do it.
So that's where you can find me, and we'll have fun together. Come find me for sure.
Cool. Go give Allie a follow. Give this her podcast a listen. We'll let you know if that does come back for a future season here soon. But Allie, I just love you. Thank you so much.